To fulfill the role of the ace, a player must follow three requirements. The side of your back must inspire your teammates. Any and all walls must be crushed. And every ball must be spiked with full strength and complete confidence. In Haikyuu, the concept of the ace is more than just a position. It's almost an identity, a symbol. The player everyone turns to when the game is on the line. And it's the most coveted role in the sport. Players like Ushijima and Kiryu represents the pinnacle of that ideal. They don't hesitate, they don't falter, they simply score. Even players who don't fit the traditional mold like Hoshiumi and Tenma, they still reach that level through their skill and adaptability and presence. And in Tenma's case, inspiration. Because sometimes the role of the ace begins before you ever step onto that court. Sometimes it begins by inspiring someone else to chase it, which is exactly what happens with Hinata. So naturally, with all this focus on the ace and Hinata's dream to become one, you'd expect him to become the ace of Kurasuno, maybe even the ace of the entire series. But Haikyuu doesn't take that obvious path. Instead, it gives that journey to someone else. From the very beginning, Hinata is framed as this player chasing greatness. He's the underdog, the one with impossible ambition, the one who inspired by a legend. Everything about his story screams future ace. And in most sports anime, that's exactly what would happen. The main character would rise, overcome every obstacle, and stand at the top as the definitive ace. But Haikyuu is different, because while Hinata grows, evolves, and becomes one of the most dangerous players on the court, he never fully embodies the traditional role of ace. Instead, that role is quietly being built in the background through a character introduced not as a protagonist, but as a side character. His name is Kōtarō Bokuto. Even in a cast filled with these incredible characters, Bokuto stands out almost immediately. His design is loud, his personality is even louder. From his owl-like hair to this constant burst of energy, he feels impossible to ignore. He's funny, expressive, and unpredictable. At a first glance, he's almost feels like this comic relief. But that's exactly what makes him so effective. Because beneath the surface is one of the most important character arcs in this entire series. Bokuto isn't just a fan favorite, he's a narrative misdirection, a character who seems simple but carries one of the deepest journeys in Haikyuu. Because while Hinata is chasing the idea of the ace, Bokuto is living it, or at least trying to. Bokuto was first introduced at the Tokyo training camp prior to nationals. He says something that almost feels out of place. It's just delivered so casually that most people don't even register it the first time. But that's exactly the kind of subtle writing that defines Haikyuu. Later in the story, that idea becomes clear when Bokuto explains his philosophy. He focuses on what's fun and not what's easy. Later in the story, the line becomes key to understanding his entire character, because it implies something most viewers miss. Bokuto wasn't always like this. Volleyball wasn't always fun for him, and that changes everything. It means Bokuto has already gone through the struggle we see other characters are experiencing in real time. The self-doubt, the pressure, the isolation, the loneliness that comes with being exceptional. He's already faced that and come out the other side. That's why, despite his childish behavior and simple way of speaking, he's quietly one of the wisest characters in the series. He understands what he wants, how to improve, and most importantly, what actually matters. When we first meet Bokuto, he's already one of the top players in the country. He's a top 5 ace, the ace of Fukurodani, a powerhouse school. A player feared and sometimes respected, but there's a problem. He isn't reliable. Bokuto is defined by extremes. When he's playing well, he's this unstoppable player. But when things go wrong, everything falls apart for him. His mood shifts and his confidence is gone and his performances drop. It's almost like this emo mode comes out. This emo mode becomes his defining weakness and creates a contradiction at the core of his character. How can someone so talented, so dominant, already recognized as one of the best, still fail to be what an ace is supposed to represent? Because being the ace isn't just about your ability, it's about consistency. And Bokuto doesn't have that. I mean, at least not yet. To understand Bokuto, you have to understand Akashi, because Bokuto is one of those characters whose inner thoughts we don't really hear. Instead, we see him through Akashi's perspective. We understand his emotions through Akashi's observations. We interpret his mindset through Akashi. This creates dependency, not just for Bokuto, but for us. We rely on Akashi to understand him, just like Bokuto relies on Akashi to function at his best. But a true ace can't rely on someone else forever. At a point, they have to stand on their own. At Fukuro Dani, Bokuto isn't just the ace, he's the emotional core of this entire team. But what makes this dynamic so powerful is that his weaknesses don't break the team, they strengthen it. His inconsistency, his slumps, these mood swings, instead of being liabilities, they become something the team adapts to naturally. Supporting Bokuto is a part of their identity. They function almost just as well compensating for him than as they do when he's at his peak. That says everything about the bond they have. There are even hints that Bokuto's passion once isolated him, that his intensity made him feel alone, similar to the loneliness we see in other elite players. But Fukuro Dani changes that. They don't just accept him, they meet him at his level and push alongside him, and that means everything to him. During the Tokyo training camp, Bokuto challenges Tsukishima's mindset. Tsukishima is afraid of putting in the effort and getting nothing in return. It's a very real fear, but Bokuto offers a different perspective on it. Volleyball becomes fun when you're good at it. When you can beat the person in front of you, when your skill allows you to control the game. Fun doesn't come first, skill does. And once you reach that level, that's when the fun really begins. This is the same mindset that drives Bokuto. Everything builds towards nationals, specifically the match against Muji Nozaka. Across the net stands Kiryu, a player who represents everything Bokuto isn't. Consistent, composed, unshaken. Early in the match, Kiryu dominates. Bokuto is struggling, and because of that, Fukuro Dani falls behind. It feels like nothing's changed. Then something different happens. Bokuto steps up, not just as a scorer, but as a complete player. He contributes everywhere, and then he makes the most important decision of his character. He tells Akashi to rest. The player who once depended on Akashi now takes control, and in that moment, Bokuto becomes the one lifting others. Muji Nozaka has this anti-Bokuto strategy where they're shutting him down completely, and in the same sense, shutting down Akashi too. Akashi starts to overthink everything and is shutting down. There's one thing you expect to happen, and that is Bokuto shutting down and going into his emo mode. In this match, there's this flashback where we see the reason Akashi joined Fukuro Dani, and it's because of Bokuto. Akashi thought Bokuto was the star player, and it opened his eyes. He says he's never seen someone play volleyball like that, with so much joy and to be so good at it. Bokuto's inspiration spreads to the players who watch his games, and they become an iconic duo, both building on each other as we cut back to the game. As we cut back to the game, Bokuto isn't in one of his moods. In fact, he's almost better than his normal self. Kiryu spikes the ball straight towards Bokuto, and what happens is probably the most Bokuto thing you would ever see. He saves the ball with his chest, and his back facing his teammates. And right after that receive, Bokuto smashes a line shot straight through Muji Nozaka. And the very next play, Bokuto has nowhere to spike, with blockers in front of him and a receiver ready for his cross shot. And he does his cross shot anyway, and it's so sharp the libero isn't even able to touch it. After scoring, Bokuto does something very unexpected. He turns around to look at his team, and he thanks everyone for helping him be the ace. And it's only because of them he was able to become their ace. And says that he will have to say goodbye to them in a couple days, which is a sad truth. He says it's about time he becomes the ace without all these mood swings and just his own power. Even though Fukuro Dani loses the first set, Bokuto's already adapted, he's changed. He proves he's a player who can stand on his own, that he doesn't need perfect conditions, and that's what transforms him into a true ace. The whole world is cheering him on now. And they take the second set, and Bokuto is doing the best he's ever done. He's even inspiring his opponents, Kiryu. In the final set, Bokuto is clear-headed and watching everyone, and not trying to use sheer force to score, but he's doing the smart play. Bokuto is firing up everyone, even Akashi, who's very clear-headed and doesn't try new things in a game. Akashi tries it back quick for the first time and never trying it before. And they take the win against Muji Nozaka, winning the quarterfinals. They then make it to the semifinals and win, and they make it to the finals of nationals. What makes Bokuto unique is how he views pressure. While others struggled under the weight of being the ace, Bokuto embraces it. To him, that pressure isn't a burden. It's proof that he's trusted. It's something to be grateful for. Even his goal of becoming the #1 ace isn't selfish. A better Bokuto means a better Fukurodani. His ambition is tied directly to his team. In Haikyuu's final match, we get the MSBY Black Jackals versus Adlers. We see Bokuto playing with the rest of the Haikyuu cast in a professional volleyball game this time. Bokuto's playing with Hinata, Atsumiya, and Sakusa. Furodate uses this match to bring Haikyuu to a close. Bokuto confirms his growth in this match. Before the match, Atsumu tells Bokuto that he better not be moping in this match, when Bokuto responds saying he doesn't do that anymore and he's just the ace. Even on the court with so much talent, Bokuto still stands out, not just as a strong player, but with his enthusiasm too. In this match, we learn that Fukurodani loses in the national finals, but Bokuto philosophy evolves. Fun isn't about winning. Losing's not fun. Seeing your teammates cry isn't fun. But becoming stronger, creating moments worth cherishing with others, that's what makes it worth it. That's why he keeps improving, not because it's easy, but because it matters. In the final rally, Bokuto's journey of becoming the ace comes full circle. No matter what happens, the ace must score and inspire. In this match, Bokuto overcomes his greatest hurdle. He became the most consistent player. In the final spike, Hinata is going for another one of his quicks with Atsumu, and just when the blockers go for Hinata, Atsumu sends it straight to Bokuto, and he scores. The final point in the story isn't scored by Hinata, who you would expect to score, but it's no one else but Bokuto. Not the protagonist, but the one who became the ace of Haikyuu. Hinata does become an incredible player. He's probably the most rounded player on the court. But he doesn't become the traditional ace. Bokuto does. Because he fulfills every requirement. He inspires, he overcomes, and he delivers every single time. More than that, he represents something rare. Pure, unfiltered joy. The kind of joy that inspires others. The kind that lifts your team up. The kind of joy that turns pressure into gratitude and struggle into meaning. There's a reason everyone smiles when he's on the court. There's nothing more beautiful than Bokuto in flight. And no player in Haikyuu embodies the true meaning of the ace better than him.